Ah, there you are. I was really rather struggling on my own for a moment there, I must confess. Forgive me. My name is Dr. Watson of Baker Street. And look at you, fresh-faced recruits all the way from Scotland Yard. Inspector Lestrade has been working you very hard, of that I have no doubt. Now, to be honest, you could not have arrived at a better time, for you see, we are in the middle of a right pickle. 3 members of Parliament have all been found dead, hung in their own offices. Now, the strange thing about it is that they all received similar birthday cards the mornings of their deaths, each with a mysterious message written inside. Now, at first, we thought we could be dealing with suicide, but it just doesn't add up. And now, this very morning, Scotland Yard intercepted a similar birthday card that was intended for the Prime Minister. So, we fear that if we do not get to the bottom of this, and quickly, he could be our next victim. So I don't need to explain to you how very important this all is. The very future of the country is at stake. Now, normally, I would be working alongside a certain gentleman who I am sure you are very familiar with. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, eh? However, he has gone missing, leaving it down to me to be the one to solve this crime without him. And I was really rather hoping that you might be the ones to help me. What do we think? Excellent. Excellent. Scotland Yard really did send their best this time. Well, in that case, we have arranged a special evidence room where you can collate all of your clues in one space. You must gather as much relevant information as you can and pin it upon your board. Let's try it together, shall we? honestly, technology these days. In my day, it was a simple pen and paper. Well, if we are all quite ready, we really should press on. This is not a game that we are playing here. There is a crime to be solved. So listen carefully to the case of the hung Parliament. The Foreign Secretary, the Home Secretary, and the Lord Chancellor have all been found hanging in their own chambers. Now, sadly, each victim died on their birthday and had that day received a birthday card with a mysterious message written inside. Inspector Lestrade has put together a list of potential suspects. Suspect number 1, we have Myrtle Dockett. She runs some of the most influential tabloids in the entire country, most notably the Daily Tribune. There is a lot going around at the moment about freedom of speech after her newspaper's attacks on the government nearly cost them the election. There are a great deal of people in Whitehall who would very much like to shut her up and pass sweeping press reforms, which obviously could prove very bad for business. Suspect number 2 is Walter Irwin. He is founder of the controversial independent political party, the LAFIP. He managed to build a considerable head of steam in the run-up to the election. In fact, many are saying that it was only him conceding and then endorsing the Prime Minister which swung it in the end. I suspect they must have come up with some sort of arrangement for him to stand aside like that, but what that was I could not tell you. But it might be worth exploring. Suspect number 3 is Margaret Cartwright. She worked her way up from the factory floor to take over her father's business, and she now presides over the largest textile company in the entire country. She also donated very heavily to the Prime Minister's campaign ahead of the election, which is something that a lot of people found rather curious, especially considering that she has always been a lady of labour and from manufacturing stock. So, might be worth looking into that. Suspect number 4 is Theodore Stenning. He is a publisher at the prestigious Chapman & Hall publishing house. He's also an old Oxford contemporary of many members of the cabinet, though, obviously, he chose a very different path. Now, the word on the street is that he was planning to publish some sort of expose book about their time together as students, but as of yet it has failed to hit the shelves, so we can assume someone important must have sent the attack dogs after him. And last, suspect number 5, Harriet Harper. Somewhat of a wild card here, we might say. We don't know a huge amount about her past, though she is a self-proclaimed anarchist, covered in tattoos, and she also carries around a pet snake. So, no real surprise, she came to the attention of Scotland Yard. Notably, though, she has already been issued with a restraining order by the Prime Minister, the details of which are rather hazy. So, certainly worth checking out as well. And there we have it. One of those people is our murderer. Now, if we want to solve a case like the great Sherlock Holmes, we are going to need to think like Sherlock Holmes. The devil can be found in the details. This is a police investigation, though, mind. It will not be enough to simply find out who committed the murder. We must know why and how. If we are to make an arrest, we will need motive, method, and murderer. You must gather as much evidence as you can, or it will not stand up in court. Don't forget, you have your evidence board. We have only until Big Ben strikes 9 o'clock to solve this case, so you had better get cracking. First things first. You're going to want to take a look at the crime scenes. You will only have a fixed amount of time in each room before you have to leave to visit the next, so you will need to focus here. You'll be able to look around and to investigate whatever it is that you can see. Be sure to make a record of anything that you think might be a clue to help you solve this case. Do not forget your evidence room. You will need that later. Now, we have the Foreign Secretary, the Home Secretary, and the Lord Chancellor. That is the order in which they died. So, I suggest that that is the order that you go in. Time is limited, detectives. So good luck And as Mr. Holmes would say, the game's afoot. How was that? Did you find any useful clues? Very good. Now, I would suggest that the next port of call is either heading to Scotland Yard, where we can dig through the files on some of the suspects and see if there's anything of use there, or we can go and visit the lovely Dr. Gray in the forensics lab and see what she has come up with. Unfortunately, we will not be able to do both, so here is where we must make a choice. Will it be Scotland Yard or the laboratory? Choose wisely.